Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I wanted to get with a New Yorker who knows firsthand what is going down there, even though the media is, parading around like some great achievement has happened now that Lord Andrew, I don't even want to call him, I don't know what to call him other than a gangster. Capo Cuomo, he's not going to jail. They whitewashed this whole thing. They made it about grab ass. Kind of makes me want to puke. Meanwhile, medical tyranny is coming to New York. The key to the city pass is the key to slavery. And Chrissie Mayr, who has done just amazing things all over the internet. You can't go anywhere on the internet without seeing Chrissie Mayr at this point.
Stop.
Oh, it's true. Was down at the protests in New York City on Monday. I've got some pictures. Other people I know attended. Of course, Cara Castronova, who's been a guest here several times, helped put this event on. So I thought it would be great to get her perspective. Chrissie also live streamed this event on her Twitter. So what are you doing? Why are you not following her on Twitter? And by the way, she's also on this awesome platform that you might be watching this video on right now called Rockfin. Go give her a follow there as well. And if you are one of my many premium subscribers, remember, you get all her premium content too, and that only helps her reach and her Ray token wallet. Well, with all that being said, it is early. I've got my coffee over here as well. Chrissie, how are you? And give me the rundown on what it's been like in New York the last couple of weeks, especially in the city area where you're located.
I did not expect this at all to happen. All places were easing up on their mask sort of rules, and you start feeling, okay, maybe New York City is coming back, but deep down I was like, okay, yeah, even though there are more people walking around, it just, to me, it always felt like, I don't know. I feel like there's more to it. I think they lied about how many people moved out of New York City. Just because in my experience renting, like, I was never on any lease. I never had bought anything. I think they're just like other numbers they may have lied about in New York City. They're definitely lying about how many people have left over the last year and a half. And I feel like New York City is on kind of life support right now. And that's why I was so shocked to hear de Blasio wanting to pass through these mandates that they're going to be basically checking papers for your vaccine to get into any indoor dining, gyms, or I guess entertainment venues. Apparently Equinox and SoulCycle have signed up for this. And it's wild because it's like, as a Planet Fitness girl myself, I can't afford to spend like $200 a month to not work out. I can only afford to spend $10 a month not to work out. But it's just such a good example of like, oh, well, you're not going to get anything from the government, but if you want to go to your precious spin class, you're going to have to whip out your arm. I was just so shocked to hear this, and exactly what you said, Jason. It's very much a distraction from everything that was going on with Cuomo. And of course, if they can get Cuomo on sexual harassment, they don't really have to get him on the 13,000 plus nursing home deaths. And if they're not going to get him on that, well, good. It's like we've all been saying, they're not going to look to the other Democratic governors who handled situations in their states similarly. So I was like, there's always two ways you can go about this. Like, if this is really going to happen, of course, we all know there are like possibly ways around the vax mandates, right? Like, there's things you can get. And I was like, you know what? You consider it briefly, and then you're like, well, what am I doing here? Like, why do I have this platform? And it's also like, why I've been talking the talk this whole time. I might as well walk the walk. Like, what am I gonna risk it all or be sneaky just for like a $25 spot in New York City?
And right now, by the way, that may be possible. I want to let people know that may be possible because they're accepting paper, like the Nazis did. You have paperwork. It's like a throwback to the Nazis before they get you on this. But once they get you on this,
it is such a throwback.
It's just such a throwback. Oh, Hitler, you crazy guy.
Oh, I think Hitler would have had a flip phone, to be honest. I think Hitler would have been overwhelmed by the buttons. And yeah, you can kick it old school, like with your papers.
But that's for now. And just like I was warning you when we first talked all the way back in January, I think it's like 8 months ago when we met, this isn't going to ease up. It is going to be selectively enforced. They are going to try to squeeze you, not through, say, the federal government. Eventually, it'll be the federal government. You notice how everything has kind of moved in that direction. Now it's the military. And by the way, I'll say it again. I don't give a fuck if they FDA approve every fucking one of these things. It doesn't make it so I have to take anything to move around in this country. But they're going to restrict you through localized mandates, corporate mandates, peer pressure, and this isn't ending. They have now announced the third shot. They have now announced up to 5 in Sweden. We have seen even more dictatorial, tyrannical lockdowns in westernized countries like Australia that are simply nightmarish, and you happen to be in the epicenter of the beta test for America, and that is New York City. And they hope that not only will New York State have to follow, which they're going to try to do, because, again, the businesses that are prominent in New York City, their corporate mandates will reach out to Dutchess County, will reach out to Orange County, will reach out to Rockland, and then beyond. And then you have New Jersey and Connecticut and parts of Pennsylvania that will fall. And people have to understand that right now is the only time you have left to stand up to this. And just because they put a woman in there, Chrissie, for now, in the lieutenant governor, which, again, great if she wants to do good things. But
Cultural, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to use that to deflect any type of criticism. There has been absolutely no talk, no discussion with Cuomo before, and now this woman so far, of this key to the city pass. And they're patting Bill de Blasio on the head like he's some kind of Muppet superhero for implementing that. Well, like talk about that. Talk about what the real feeling of de Blasio is within the city.
Muppet superhero is a perfect way to describe him. I was talking to Larry Sharp a couple days ago, which is, if you haven't had him on your channel yet, I highly recommend it. He's like a really smart guy, and he ran in 2018 for the Libertarian candidate for governor for New York. And he just talks about, like, not quite how, like, rigged the system is, but, like, how hard it is. And
I think I interviewed Larry like 11, 12 years ago.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Okay.
been that long. But yeah, no, I'm very well aware of Larry Sharp. He's been a long term in the libertarian and kind of constitutional freedom movement in New York. Again, another marginalized character who's worked very, very hard to try to bring these issues to the forefront. So we didn't get here, but we're here now. So discuss that. Talk about Larry Sharp. Talk about all these great speakers and people that came out on Monday.
Yeah, well, Larry Sharp wasn't there. He's just someone who was, like, really crucial. Like, he gold-pilled me back in, like, 2018 and, like, broke apart my whole... I thought I was this, like, very liberal Democrat. I was, like, an SJW person, and he was one of the people that really, like, broke apart my identity and made me realize, like, oh, shit, I think I'm more libertarian now. But he was saying that de Blasio, apparently he's only got, like, 3 months left, and he's like this true believer. He's like this true, like, socialist, right? He just really, I guess, wants to go out with a bang, and that's why he's pushing this key to New York City thing. And we've had the Excelsior Pass going for a little bit now, and I think only maybe Madison Square Garden and Yankee Stadium have taken the bait on the Excelsior Pass. And what does that tell you? That maybe these other small businesses don't think it's a good idea. Maybe they think they're alienating a huge chunk of their potential customers. And I don't know why they didn't learn from that lesson, but it's exactly what you said. Like, New York City is the beta test. I think New York City is weak right now, and maybe a lot of people have moved out who would have spoken out about this. I was really nervous going into Monday, like, who was going to be at this protest, who all is even left in this state. I was talking to Tina Forte about this, and she's actually running for AOC's seat. So she is, I didn't actually see her there, but, like, we were like boats, and we were like ships passing. I didn't see her, but we were like texting, like, where are you? Where are you? And I met up with Mikey Harlow, who was really active with Walkaway with Brandon Strzok, and Riss Flex, who you know, Jason, who has another great YouTube channel and who was with us on the 6th. And
should come to Rockfin.
And should come to Rockman. She's on some other weird, like, no-name thing I've never heard of.
Get out of there! What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Get over here.
So, and I have footage. I streamed for 3.5 straight hours, which is more than I was able to do any of the times I ever went to DC. I guess they weren't messing with our Wi-Fi quite as much, or maybe they just weren't as many people there, obviously. And I was like, oh, I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, who is all left in this city, in this state? Like, who really, cares anymore? But I was like, I'm definitely gonna go. I have to go. I'm like, same thing with DC. I felt like pulled, compelled, called to go. And I guess there might have been maybe like 500 people there or so, but the people who were there were loud. They were passionate, a lot of good signs. I mean, nothing is ever going to top the costume I saw on January 6th of the skeleton wearing the sign that said, I voted for Joe Biden 9 times. I mean, that I don't think I'll ever see another a costume better than that. But a lot of good signs, a lot of passionate folks out in the streets. We heard from a lot of speakers. There was a woman there, and I can't remember her name, but I do remember she was a redhead, so that's stuck in my memory. She used to be a rockette, and she was talking about how, like, all the rockettes, all these performers, Broadway performers, are being forced to get it now if they want to even work. Imagine, like, if you have to move back to your hometown of like Ohio or wherever, and then you finally are like, you know what, it's been a long year and a half. I'm going back to New York City. I'm gonna be a rockette again, or whatever, a mascot in Times Square. Well, they probably don't. They probably are not going to mandate it. Who knows?
No, they're going for it. Listen, they're going for it.
Maybe that's the only place you could probably work in entertainment is in Times Square inside of a hot costume with a big hat on. But imagine you like you're like, Elmo, you don't need to know Elmo's vaccination status, okay? Actually, that's a really funny sketch idea. So these girls are coming back, and now they're being told they have to get the jab or else they just can't work in this city anymore. How devastating that must be. Like, and exactly like you said, the corporations are gonna, I think they want to mandate, although now it doesn't really seem like they can. I know that they wanted to start with city workers first in New York City. But yeah, so yeah, I went to this protest, and even before Monday's protest, I was like, look, like, I'm not passed at every single club in New York City, but I do perform at like quite a few venues. And I was like, I can't just like be like talking the talk anymore. Like I hide behind this thing and I'm sneaking around, or I come out in front of it and just be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, to the day that de Blasio announced it, I was like, I can't pretend to like live a lie or whatever. I came out and said I wasn't going to perform at any clubs that made you show papers. So, and then I even texted like one of my buddies who at Stand Up New York, and they were already, I think, doing this like, let's see your vaccine. And I was like, hey, just letting you know, I don't know if you saw my tweet. It went kind of viral. No, I was like, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but no, seriously, no hard feelings. Still love you and Stand Up New York. Like, that was a club that I had headlined at, we had done shows for Comedians of the Compound there. I have a show coming up in November with Larry Sharp, actually. Mm-hmm. And I think a couple more people. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do that show in November now, if they keep this up. And it's exactly what you said, Jason. Like, now is the only time we have to fight. Why wait till a couple weeks from now? Why wait till September? It's like, what the hell else are you doing?
It's on. They just announced it over in LA County. You got a bunch of people partying at, I'm waiting. Lord Obama obviously figured out.
You weren't invited? See, I was invited and then disinvited.
Oh, yeah. My buddy did that at his wedding once to me. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, crushing. One of my childhood friends invites me to his wedding and then uninvites me because their family didn't like me and some of my friends weren't going. But he got divorced anyway, so whatever. Anyway.
He didn't deserve you.
Anyway, these people, we're talking about hundreds, maybe 1,000 plus. They figured out how to beat the Delta variant with no mask, right? They figured it out. I'm waiting for that information, Barry Soetoro. Could you please let the rest of us know? But no, they want to mask your kids up. And again, one of the big things for me when I moved was to make sure that my girls could go to school and that they could not wear masks. And luckily, Monday, they start. And guess what? Masks are banned here for kids. You notice they always go to DeSantis as the big rebel. They don't want to talk about Kim Reynolds. I live in a state now that it's constitutional carry. I don't even need a permit to have a gun. They don't like that.
So lucky.
She passed it. I had one guy complaining to me about it in the barbershop this week, and I go, dude, I live in New York. I go, it's impossible to get a carry permit for a pistol. Almost impossible. You're talking about waiting forever. And I go, who do you think's committing the crimes? like it's not the people that register their guns. And that's been lost on these people. Again, you live in a city that has now had triple the violent crime happen in the last 12 to 18 months because of these policies. Speak to that for a second.
Yeah, and this was something that Larry Sharp showed a lot of light on for me. And he's like, all this crime, it's a lot of when you can't work at your normal job and your normal channels. I guess like a lot of folks in the city, like, I don't know, let's call them drug dealers. Let's say you also had a job, maybe at a restaurant or whatever. Your regular real job like laid you off, and then people take to maybe their small business that operates on the street. And then he was explaining that a lot of this violence is just like kind of street justice going on, and like panic over, yeah, like I guess that small business is now like all they have, and there's no HR, on the street. So, and it's also not something you can get like laid off from. Mm-hmm. So he was saying that's what a lot of the violence right now is because of this, panic, right? This like,
well, you can't have catch and release. You can't have, landlords that aren't corporate landlords not getting paid their rent, right? While people have incentivized not to work, and basically take the upper middle class all the way down to those on social services and almost in the streets and eviscerate what they have left and not expect this type of chaos, and then say, hey, if you commit a violent crime, we're going to let you out. We're just going to let you out. Go for it, right? Go for it. But you know what? We're going to find a way in New York State to arrest Donald Trump. We're not sure how yet.
Oh, God.
But and again, I'm not fucking MAGA. I don't like the new hat design. I'm not going to be rocking it. But again, if the guy has committed crimes, you would have already indicted him. Instead, I see a literal cartel criminal getting away with massive murder as a police state and medical tyranny is implemented in the state I once loved. And they're, again, masking the kids up, selective enforcement through these vaccine passports. It doesn't end. They're talking about booster shots already, Chrissie. I know you're on tour, and you just said that you talked about the East Coast and having to cancel some of these things. Are you going to end up having to go to the Midwest? Are you going to end up having to leave New York eventually, or are you going to stand your ground to the very end?
I am going to stand my ground because there are, and I think most of the people that are left in New York now, like, have to be here because of work or family, or like have to take care, right? Family obligations, have to take care of an old parent or something. So yeah, I, you know what, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to stay and fight and get loud and get weird and and do what I need to do to possibly wake more people up, or at least like show people like, hey, like you can opt out of this, like we just went like a year or whatever without, many folks went months and months without going to a restaurant. It's like, yeah, that exactly. It's like, we're not gonna be able to go back to anything if we don't fight right now. I think you can kind of put a pin in your desire to, brunch and I have to, like, just don't be pressured into it. You can opt out of this bullshit. You can just say no. Yeah, and because this is really like the only time we have. It's like, it's pretty scary, but I also think, right, like they're testing us to see what we've got and how people will fight back, if they'll fight back.
Yeah, and clearly, unfortunately, so many people have acquiesced and have not stood up for their children. I want to say this again, that if you do want to take action, it's the local county boards. It's the school board meetings. You got to tape it. You got to get vocal. Everybody saw that Mount Vernon board meeting that has now gone viral, where you had the doctor say, hey, look, here's some information. I am willing to testify in a court of law. We now have to threaten lawfare everywhere we can, period. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is the takeover. I want to repeat that. This is the takeover. Chrissie, I don't know if you saw this, but recently I went over a propaganda piece that was out in 2009 called Earth 2100. Okay? Now, the only reason I even found this thing is I was going through some of the archives of a young Jason Burmis talking 12 years ago during WHO Pandemic Level 6, and the first time we acquiesced to the UN's power. So I remembered it, and I go, man, that was full of propaganda. I better give that a rewatch. So it tells the story of this woman born in 2009, and it was ABC in conjunction with our good friends John Podesta, Tony Fauci's in it, Eric Schmidt, James Woolsey of the CIA, and Van Jones, the $100 million man for Bezos. Those are the main characters, okay? It predicts New York City will be under quarantine in the first 30 seconds. Okay?
Wow.
It talks, hold on, Chrissy, we're way, whoa. It has people in masks, refugees coming across. It talks about the new normal. But instead of giving you this window, it also talks about pandemic viruses, but it blames everything on climate change. And this window of 100 years isn't really real. What it is predictive programming to condense the next 20 plus years to get you used to that. So in other words, it gets you used to the suburbs are going to be gutted. They talk about that, how you're going to live in a little house, how you're going to have a little car. But it never talks about all the technology that's coming in, aka the automation, the vaccine passports, the actual transhumanist movement that's on the back of this. So all of these people plan on shifting this virus, once they can no longer use it to scare people, to the climate change agenda. And whatever we acquiesce to will be on this with our little passports. So again, I would tell people that they need to quit their jobs or just say, look, I'm going to make you fire me, but I'm going to sue you. We're going to have a class action lawsuit. And I know it may not work in the beginning, but the more that we do this, the better chance we have. Because right now, unless we do this, we've seen our federal government out of control. We've seen our state governments out of control and are totally unaccountable. Totally unaccountable. So what advice would you give to other people like you that maybe aren't as independent, right? You're lucky. You've been able to make your way on the internet, go out, tell jokes. I'm lucky. I get to sit here in front of a microphone. Everybody doesn't have these. A lot of these state workers, for instance, they're 20 years deep on a 30-year job for a pension that now they don't think they're going to get. So what would you suggest to those people?
I spoke this week with Robert Barnes, who's like a constitutional lawyer. He works with Alex Jones a lot, and I would recommend like listening to anything that he has to say, because we talked for a while about what people can do, and he said, and if a job is mandating that you get the jab, like obviously, like, don't just say yes right away, like ask to see the policy and to read the policy, and sometimes within there, like, there will be loopholes. And he said, don't sleep on like religious exemption, philosophical exemption, that you really there are like loopholes to be found, he said, and to just ask to read the policy. And again, like you said, like refuse, and worst case scenario, they fire you. And then I imagine there will be like would it be a class action lawsuit? I'm not even sure.
Well, I'm feeling like, since you're already kind of indemnifying these people criminally, right? You're saying, hey, we don't care what's in these shots. We don't care whether they work or not. The efficacy. I mean, I'm trying to put this up on YouTube later, so we're trying not to get any medical misinformation. We haven't talked about treatments or anything like that.
No, ask your doctor.
Oh, nothing like that. But the bottom line is that we've already seen lawsuits thrown out with people trying to go to university without them, right? Now, if you've seen that, it's probably going to take class action lawsuits and appeals after the fact just to get there. And if you read like the SPARS document, they talk about this basically in SPARS. They talk about injuries not only from shots, but therapeutics they use. And then this fund that eventually has to become greater and greater and greater because the pressure becomes too great and they basically have to pay all these people off. But that fund is especially set up, and really the only way these people end up getting paid is through lawsuits. No one's criminally accountable. And again, if the last year and a half hasn't shown you anything, show me one official that has gone to jail for the way that they acted during this COVID-19 84 nightmare. Instead, I can point to doctors being censored. I can point to even doctors being arrested for administering certain treatments. And then I can say that there was also ban hammers on certain treatments in states that medical professionals would refuse to patients even when they requested it, Chrissy.
Yeah, I think there might be a lot of folks who have their licenses revoked after this time period. Who knows whenever that will be. But Oh yeah, it's just pretty gross. Like we've had alternatives that don't support big pharma. So, whoo, I'm just yeah, and also like stay healthy the best you can. Like keep up your zinc, your vitamin C, your vitamin D. Getting out in sunlight is good. Getting your feet in the grass is good. Like do what you need to do to take care of yourself, so you're less vulnerable, right? Especially like going into the winter. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary. It's really scary because like I have to stay here for work and for I would say it's like combination like work and family reasons. So,
Family's what keeps a
yeah.
lot of people there. I'm trying to get my brother out of New York State. Obviously his wife doesn't want to leave. Her entire family is there. So much of my extended family is still in New York. They're not going anywhere. I hate to say it like this, but I'll say it like this. People often wonder how people stayed in Germany as the Nazi Party came up. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I've been warning people since 9/11. Those people, they're still in power. And they're not fucking around. Like, the 20th anniversary is coming up, and the New York Times just contacted me. A lot of people will contact me because of loose change, and they think they're going to embarrass me, and yada, yada, yada. And so I basically just gave him the same offer I give everybody. I go, I'd be more than happy to do your interview. We'll be taping the interview. I go, and we can either live stream the interview or tape it. And I go, if you don't want me to put that out because you want your little article out first or whatever, that's fine. But then after it comes out, you either come on my show or I release the interview. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, let me talk to my editors. No one's fucking talking to me. Like the last guy that did that was an Esquire, and I owned his ass. And they want to put a narrative out there. The truth is that the military-industrial complex existed before 9/11. Okay, so did the security state. And post 9/11, it has gotten to the point now where they are out and out open about their tyranny with a zombie in office that can barely speak. Did you see Joe yesterday trying to talk policy?
The last thing I saw was him like walking around like the White House yard, like going in the wrong entrance, like walking all over the grass.
Yeah,
like,
that's
instead of
nothing. Obviously, listen, do you see him drive around in the Jeep?
Oh God, no, he's driving.
When they announced that you're going to start paying taxes by the mile you travel, and that there's going to be a nice government box by 2030 in there, and it's going to have a breathalyzer, they had Joe in his geriatric chic mode run into a gray Rubicon and then do like a little loop around while he smiled. That's not even it. Yesterday, he started talking policy. First of all, it looks like he fell down. I'm going to do a video on that. No one picked up on that. Guy's got
really?
He's got bruises on his nose and his eyebrow and his lip.
Whoa.
It looks like he fell down and no one's saying anything. And then I hear him try to answer like a one-sentence question, and he's off the fucking rails. He can't speak. The guy can't speak, Chrissie. And, I honestly thought that they would put Kamala Harris out there more in the face to talk, because say what you want about her. She can complete a sentence, maybe a paragraph. No, they are shitting in our mouths and smiling while doing it.
You ever think, Jason, that like the Biden presidency is just one long Life Alert commercial?
No, I think it's like Bush 4.0. Okay, it's like an extension of the old New World Order policy, which Clinton was really a part of. I mean, running that cocaine, son. And then you got Bush 2.0 with his son, which is Cheney, Rumsfeld, all that. Then you put a nice face on it with Barack Obama, but you put Joey B in there while he's still slinging gangster style. And now they're like, Zombie Puppet Joe will literally say whatever the fuck we want. And listen, this is the ultimate gaslight, right? They killed a girl in D.C., an unarmed girl, and we're the insurrectionists. It was like a Dave Matthews concert in 95% of the places.
It really was.
Like, seriously, I was waiting for Satellite to come on over the speaker. Satellite. Like, that's what it was. And they've held hearings. They've tried to label people like myself domestic terrorists. I know that you have probably talked to Riss about this documentary project coming up. But I've warned her about it because, look, I don't trust any of these people. And have you heard about this yet?
No.
So there's...
Oh, actually, yes, she has a documentary person following her around. She was there on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I scared her off.
Well, watch out because, and I'm talking to this one lady. She seems so nice, and we've taped our interview together and yada, yada, yada. But Atlantic is producing Radical Media to co-produce docuseries about conspiracy theories. Okay? It's going to be called Shadowland.
Is that where this girl's a part? She's from this? Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
I didn't get a great vibe from her, Jason. Like, she was, like, jumpy and squirrely. And, like, I was like, you can come hang with us. We're going to go to Compound Media. I'm going to do my show. Like,
yeah.
You can come. She's like, oh, I have to check with my... She seemed like, I don't know.
Well...
Like, she needed a drink.
They're going for it. And I don't know if I'm even going to get cast for this thing. Like, I think that this woman likes me because I've been honest and I've shown her, like, when I talk shit, I back it up. So I did it kind of like a show, and she's been interested in it. But at the same time, they're trying to go the MAGA crowd. They're trying to go the QAnon stuff. They want so badly to do that. And I've been debunking that since the beginning. And, I'll take on any blue check mark. Bring it on. I'm praying to God that Kevin Roose of the New York Times wants to do this interview. Please, buddy, let's go. But what this is going to be is, listen, I've seen it. They're going to pick you at your worst moments, and they're going to get narratives. And the only way to combat that, really, is to make sure that you've documented as much as possible and are able to give a different perspective on that. But the other problem with this is they'll probably shoot you for, like, anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months, maybe more, especially because they're talking about this could be in seasons, 6 parts in each season. Yeah. You might not see it for a year or 18 months on the turnaround. And you know how much things can change or what you can do in editing. I mean, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I know these things. So listen, I'll do anything. I got nothing to hide. I'm an open book. But I know how they are. And I totally expect that if I get in there, they're probably not going to put me in the best light no matter what. And that's just something I'm able to deal with. But they're not putting any of us in the best of lights, Chrissie. We are the domestic terrorists. We are the extremists. And really, we are the ones fighting the tyranny. So I know I said only like 30 minutes because I know you got big things to do. Wrapping it up, let people know how they can come see Chrissie Mayr, talk about these protests, because as I understand it, they're going to be every Monday in New York City. And where these things are, how people can get involved, and like I said, where they can support you.
Yeah, I heard that too, that every Monday that they were going to be doing these protests down at City Hall, which is where we were this past Monday. I'm going to have to double check on that before I send anybody there. But I would say, yeah, follow that girl that you mentioned. She did speak at the, and now I'm blanking on all these names. She did speak at the event on Monday.
We're talking Cara Castronova?
Cara Castronova, yeah. I would definitely follow her. And I would love for one of these protests to be on a weekend so that different people can come out, like people with jobs maybe could be there. We need people with jobs. Yeah, but follow me at all things, Chrissie Mayr on Instagram. I'm Chrissie Mayr Pod because my first one got nuked. Chrissie Mayr Podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. A lot of really good interviews on there. Just particularly this week, even with Robert Barnes, Larry Sharp, Carrie Smith, a lot of good sort of still very topical conversations about all these mandates and what we can do, what our rights are, and I will be, not performing in New York, but I have some gigs coming up in Jersey, really all over the country. Actually, later tonight, I'll be in Jersey in Beach Haven, which is Jersey Shore area at this place called Bird and Betty's. And then I'm heading to New Orleans this weekend, literally tomorrow, doing 4 shows at the Comedy House in New Orleans. And then I'll be in Vegas with Comedians of the Compound September 10th and 11th. And then I'll be in Texas after that, September 17th and 18th, headlining Hyenas in Dallas. Really great club. Love to spend as much time as I can, in Texas, right? Florida, all these freedom states. And then October 16th, Comedians of the Compound will be doing a stadium show in Lakewood, New Jersey. I think it's the Blue Claw Stadium, and that's on October 16th. And then I'm going to California October 22nd and 23rd. I'm doing, and right, we'll see. Hopefully this happens. 4 shows at the Broadway Comedy Club West in Santa Monica. The guy who owns that club is like, he's kind of based, so I'm hoping.
I doubt it. They just passed it, LA County. They passed the Vax Pass yesterday. Good luck. You know,
Okay.
if you got to cancel it, Iowa's here. You know, we got Des Moines, we got the Quad Cities. I'm going to be calling fights on the 15th and 16th of October, and no matter what, we're not shutting down. I don't feel it. At least my county's not going to. I think that we're in for a lot of fights, and I think people need to gear up, get ready, not acquiesce. I'm glad you're not acquiescing. I'm very proud of you for standing up and saying, I'm not going to do these shows. This isn't right, and I'm not going to be a part of it. So, Chrissie, again, you're over on the Rockfin. You're absolutely killing it. I hope my audience checks you out, and she's funny, guys. I know she didn't tell too many jokes on this, but I promise you.
Okay, hold on. If mothers have Mother's Day and fathers have Father's Day, what do single guys have?
My life.
Palm Sunday?
Ah!
There's your joke.
There's my Bob and Tom style joke right there. Chrissie Mayr, everybody. Thank you so much, Chrissie. We'll see you soon, okay?
Thanks for having me, Jason.
You got it. Chrissie Mayr. All right, guys. You know the deal. The links are down below. That's how you can support the program. Chrissie's doing great stuff. You don't have to agree with everybody, but you do have to try to come at it with a sense of humor, in my opinion. And she does a really good job at that. If you are on Rockfin, and we just got a new premium subscriber, by the way, I want to say that. Claudine, thank you so much. Now you have access to all of Chrissie Mayr's premium content as well. And I want to thank Mary Peppa for the $5 tip while we did the broadcast. Guys, it's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong. And there's a lot of wrong going on in the world right now. We'll see you on the flip side.